Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
So I have a very special person, of course, who calls in from Las Vegas. She's not in a casino. She just lives there. Her name is Roberta Hladek, and she is the co-founder of the Energetic Matrix Church of Consciousness. And it's really short for EMC Square. And I always say that, and people are a little confused about, isn't that what Einstein came up with? So that's energy, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you have a lot of energy, personally?
I think I do. Everybody tells me I do.
Oh. Well, it's funny that I've always been highly energetic, but I started taking blood pressure medication about a month or so ago, and maybe people don't recognize it, but I don't have quite the same energy. It's just that's what the medicine is supposed to do, right? Slow me down?
I don't really know too much about medicine. But what's interesting when you talk about high blood pressure is my other half, his blood pressure seems to go up and down. His mother had high blood pressure and things. And he's been on AIM since before we were AIM. And he was telling me the other day his blood pressure is totally normal.
No kidding.
Yeah. He takes, we do everything natural. He won't take, he doesn't like to take drugs if he can avoid it.
Right.
So he's been doing garlic. And
right.
He takes garlic tablets, and we cut out all the salt.
Right.
And, the normal things that you're supposed to do, and
right.
And try and do those things. And then I've been finding things, on AIM. And so he told me, he goes, look, I've been doing all this stuff all along, and it's been going up and down, but now it's consistently down. So it's something that was on AIM that I've cleared.
Oh.
And I'm finally getting to the bottom of my barrel. And I said, you just might be.
Okay, are you clearing all of us?
Everyone. Oh, yeah. Everything that I find new frequency-wise goes on the trays for everybody to have access to. And that's the beauty of finding all the new things. A lot of people say, well, you found that in an autistic child, so then it's not going to help us. Well, yes, it will. It'll help everyone. It just happens to be that particular person that I found it in had that particular challenge. But doesn't matter. It can be in any of us if we have it.
Isn't that remarkable you can do that? Now, when you say it goes into the trays, of course, with our pictures here, but do you literally have to go to the trays, or is it just automatic from the computer?
No, I actually have to go into a separate AIM computer and add it to the system so that it gets it. Which sure be cool if it would just all flow through.
Right. Just tell the computer. Tell Alexa.
I know.
Alexa.
Yes. Alexa, just update us, please. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, absolutely. I love that. But the holidays are coming, and of course we were talking about high blood pressure, but it's just interesting that when the holidays come, a lot of people relax what they were doing that was important for their health. They eat too much, they're too stressed, a lot of things, and they should really realize that you can have a holiday every day, really. You don't have to wait for the holidays, right?
Absolutely. Every day should be a holiday because every day we should be glad we woke up and we've got a beautiful sky to look up to.
That's true.
Right? Because you always tell me to look up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There are people who don't wake up.
Yes.
And there are...
In more ways than one,
right.
Yes.
But go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it seems that the moon has been bigger and brighter lately. Full moons. Not just one, but it's like, I'll say to someone, did you see the full moon? It wasn't full moon. Yes, it was.
Yes. It was beautiful the other night. It lit up the sky. It was so gorgeous.
Right.
And huge, yeah. But it is that time of the year that everybody gets stressed out trying to find that particular special gift. They're stressed out about work, getting everything done before maybe they have some time off, or, trying to have all the money available for the kids and what they need to buy the kids. They want everyone to have this, we're all trying to make this perfect holiday, and I kind of was like that. and I noticed that every time the holidays came around, I dreaded them.
Huh.
I just really didn't like them. I didn't want to decorate. I really didn't want to do anything. My other half is way into the holidays. This is his favorite time of the year.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
he likes to go around and look at all the lights, and he's just way into watching the stuff on TV. I mean, and I'm just like, really, bah humbug, So about 10 years ago, I started looking at, he asked me, he goes, why do the holidays bother you so much? And I said, I don't know. I think it's just the stress. My family's kind of spread out. My mother is getting older, and trying to figure out where we're going to go, who we're going to be with, how are we spreading our time. We're traveling all over. We're trying to work, all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, whoa, wait a minute. Start eliminating things. And I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, well, make a list. You don't have to buy everybody something. Why don't you just send maybe a card or a family gift? Maybe a box of candy or something like that.
Make cookies.
So I started doing that, and he said, why don't you make really great cookies? Why don't we do cookies? So one night he said, come on, we're going to make cookies.
Oh, my.
So we started making cookies, and he had music playing. I mean, he was way into it. And since then, I've kind of gotten back to what's important. And what's important is being together and being happy and kind of going back to the basics of the holidays, not, what gift you bought at Nordstrom's that someone's going to love and how much did you spend or what great thing, Sometimes with the kids, I can get them those little candy necklaces and they think I'm amazing, and they don't care. It's all about, you showed up and you hung out with them. And basically, the little ones, you could give them a box wrapped up and they just want to rip it open. They don't care that there's nothing in it. You know what I mean? They're more interested in playing with it. So I think what I did is I made a little checklist, and I kind of I limit my to-do list. And I try not to make everything perfect because it's not going to be. Right. Don't expect something to happen that's not going to happen. And I think that's where I got lost, was the big expectation that we were going to have this Hallmark Christmas, and it just doesn't always work that way.
Hallmark Christmas, that's perfect.
So now I delegate things. Like if I'm going to go to my mom's for Christmas, I'll order everything instead of having to cook it. And it does cost a little bit more, but sometimes, you know what? I'm working all the time. It's just easier, and I'll tell my sister-in-laws, hey, everybody brings something.
Right.
And we all just get together and we have fun, and it's really much better that way. And we use paper plates sometimes because my mom is 90, and although she runs around and everything, it's just easier than we don't have to stress her out. So when we go there, it's stressful enough to have everybody in her small place that, we just do all the work and we just let her hang out and talk to everybody that she doesn't get to see all the time.
That's a lovely story. I'd like to meet your husband sometime.
He's great.
Yeah, sounds like it.
He's a professional musician, so, everybody laughs. Drums.
Oh, my God. Does he practice in the house?
Yes, and I hate noise. And everybody says, why are you as a drummer then? Because I have these really sensitive ears, so I'm always wearing earplugs at concerts and things. and there he is banging away in the other room.
That's
in the
so
closet.
sweet, though. I love that. When in my earlier years, when my first marriage, and we didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to give out gifts. So I made cookies, and I spent a day or two making cookies, a dozen cookies for this group and that group and my family, and I must have made, I don't know, hundreds of cookies. And after a while, I stopped making them. And do you know that some of the family members would say, well, how come you didn't make any cookies? I miss those cookies.
They do.
But, it's, the only trouble is that nowadays, it's just, if you look at the ingredients, there's so much sugar and so much butter and so many things that I'd just rather not do that. So flowers would be a good thing. But, of course, can't send everyone flowers. That's too expensive. But there's got to be something else. And now there are some wonderful poems that you can find, and you can send someone a poem. You can find, now you can go to the dollar store and you can get inexpensive frames, get a really nice poem, put the frame on it, use on your computer to make it look good, and send it to them.
Absolutely. And another thing too is you can always give a donation to maybe the ASPCA or to the Salvation Army. You could always give a donation and then just send them a note and say a donation has been made in your honor to the following. And I do that for our facilitators because there were years when I would go and buy candy and I'd send it to each one of them with a card, and I did this whole thing. It would take me weeks to do that all, because when you're working with men, they don't think of those things. So it was upon me to do all that. Right. And it was just like one more thing for me to have to deal with. So now I just send them all an e-card online, and I tell them all that we have made a donation, and we make several donations. Plus, my elves here in the office make blankets.
Elves.
And so we take blankets to, this year, we're taking them to the Barbara Sinatra Abused Children Foundation.
Really?
In Palm Desert. Yes, and it's a self-organization. They don't get any donations from the government. It's all personal donations that come in. And Barbara Sinatra started this a long time ago. I forget how many years it's been in existence.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you'd be surprised when you go in there. It's beautiful, but it's a sad place. Little kids that have been abused and have been brought there by maybe a friend, police department, social services. It's but they put them with psychologists, and they also help them when they get to the point where they're going to graduate. There's a salon there, and the guy that ran the salon passed away of AIDS, but he donated as much as they needed to bring in the girls and the boys, and they give them a day of pampering. And they get their nails done, even the boys. They get a manicure and a pedicure. They get their hair done, and the girls get little facials, and they'll even do a little bit of makeup depending on their age. And then they go to another place where there's a salon out there that gives them free clothing, and they get to go in and choose an outfit, and then they have a graduation ceremony.
No kidding. That is so beautiful. And so how do you get online? What's it called? BarbaraSinatra.com or something?
The Barbara Sinatra Abused Children's Foundation.
Is it there in Las Vegas?
It's actually in Palm Desert, California. And I got involved with it through a girlfriend of mine. She heard that I was making blankets, and she said, they would love to have the blankets. When each child comes in, they give them a blanket.
Now, how do you make blankets, Roberta?
We do what they call tie blankets. And so you don't do any sewing. It's cutting and tying. And they're just adorable. I'll send you one so you can see them.
My heavens.
They're just adorable. And last year we made 100 blankets. And we gave 75 to our Catholic charities here. And the reason we do Catholic charities is not because of an organization of denomination or anything like that. It's just because they supply food and things to everyone in the state, in the city. So they supply all the food banks, and they help out everybody. So we gave 75 blankets to them, and then we gave, I think we did over 100 because we gave 45 to the Barbara Sinatra Foundation.
So wonderful that you do that. And I want everyone to know, my guest is Roberta Hladek. And we usually talk a little bit more seriously about the AIM program, which I've been on for so many years, and also a lot of people, kids who are autistic or have Down syndrome, or just people like you who are listening, that it really is a fantastic program. It's called the AIM program. It's really special. All you have to do is get on the web and look up aimprogram.com. And Roberta is calling in from Las Vegas. For those of you who have listened for so many years, Stephen who was co-founder, used to call in, and we really talk about, usually, this time we're being a little mundane and talking about the holidays, but most of the time we talk about unusual things and the way that you can really be better, heal yourself, get less stress, and just help others. But we're kind of going for it this time. Right.
We're going for it, all right.
Yeah, we are. So now in Las Vegas, they have so many, the big fancy casinos, but there are also lots of communities there. I don't want everyone to think that Roberta's in a casino. That's not what she does. She has a home and a community, and people. There are two parts of Las Vegas, aren't there?
Yes. We always talk about, we have the Strip, and then we have our community.
Oh, you call it the Strip?
Mm-hmm. And then outside of the Strip and the communities, we have, like, hiking trails and mountains. And you can go skiing, and there's a lot of things that are very close to us that you don't think about when you come to Las Vegas. Mostly everybody thinks of, the shows.
Right.
All the glitz and glamour down there, which is part of it. But a cousin of mine came to visit, and we took him out to our home, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that there was, when I fly over it, I see all the lights and everything,
right.
But I didn't even realize that there's actually just like houses and, there's
right.
streets and, you can go hiking." Because I always take everyone on a trip. I show them, we pick them up at the airport and they see the Strip, and then we go out to the house. And then the following day, I always take them out to the Spring Mountain Ranch, which is a ranch that you would never dream you were still in Las Vegas, because you don't see or hear any of the glitz or glamour. And it's an old home that was owned by Vera Krupp. She was the Krupp diamond person.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first person to get the diamond, and then it was sold to, who was it? Famous actress.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, that was the Krupp diamond. And so there is a place there, and is it for tourists to go through?
Yes. It's a national park now, and she raised chinchillas, and it's got all this history. And it's beautiful. They have rolling green hills, and they now have made it into a park so you can barbecue and all sorts of things. But it's just beautiful, and it sits up against the mountains. And I always say, if that property ever went on sale, I beg, borrow, and steal to get it.
Right,
because
I'm sure.
It's just beautiful.
Right. Well, it is. That is very interesting how Las Vegas apparently was a neat town, and then when the people who wanted to gamble came in from New York, wherever they came in for, and they changed the whole environment. But probably you don't have problems keeping the roads up and all, because there's plenty of tax money that the casinos bring in, right?
Well, it's like any other city. It has its issues, and now we're growing like crazy. Just since we've been here 15 years, it has grown by, I think, almost 1 million people.
Well, now you have a major soccer team, football team.
Football team, yes, and we have our hockey team, our Golden
hockey.
Knights.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were born here, and they're amazing. They're great guys.
As we were talking about what we should give people for the holidays,
mm-hmm.
I couldn't dare do it, but every time I go to the pet shop to buy all sorts of food for Charlie, there are these little kittens sitting there. I would love to put a little kitten in a box and bring it to someone, but not everybody wants a kitten, right? But isn't that a lovely idea?
That is. But there would be some people that would say, "Why did you give me this?"
That's right. Maybe they're allergic or something. But years ago, it would be, "Oh, here's a little puppy," but we know we can't. And also, they don't want it to just go to anyone. They're a lot more careful about who gets these animals.
Yeah, and they should be.
Yeah.
The poor little things, but yeah.
They're just waiting, though, to find someone to love them and take care of them.
They are.
Well, let's get back to, now your article is coming up in December, and it's all tips for better relationships. And some of them it seems so simple, but we forget. You forget about trying to listen. I think, Roberta, really what I'm finding that, and I'm a pretty good listener because I've had interviews for so long, but I watch other people, and I am with people, and sometimes I don't have to say a thing for an hour. They just keep talking about themselves. I mean, isn't it? I'm sure you run into this.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, that's really wrong. I mean, if you have a spouse or you have a good friend, that's not a conversation. That's a that's a dialogue or something, right?
Yeah. You don't want to, sometimes I feel like I'll ask someone, I'll meet someone and I'll say, so, what do you do for a living? And they go on and on and on, and they never ask me one question.
Right.
And I think, wow, I opened a can of worms there.
It's just they don't have any. It's a skill, I guess. They don't understand that you should take a breath and say, how about you?
Well, I think sometimes, and I always blame it on our phones, but I think we're just so we're very self-absorbed. And we're looking at Facebook and we're seeing that, oh my gosh, these people are going here and there, and we're posting what we had for dinner, and we're posting, that we're going hiking today. I mean, who cares?
Right.
Really.
Well, I've learned something. Excuse me. What I've learned is I may want to tell somebody something, and it's important. But before I do that, I always try. Sometimes I have to back it up. By the way, how was that show that you went to? Or what happened at the birthday party? And then go and tell them that, because it's so easy to just get right into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I do too. Sometimes I want to tell everybody everything that's going on and what we did, and then I go, wait a minute, and then I have to back up too and say, hey, how was your trip to Europe? I saw a girlfriend the other day, and they had gone to Europe, and I started thinking, she's telling me all this stuff, and I go, wait a minute, how was your trip?
Yeah, right.
And we both looked at each other, and we went, okay, because we're real conscious of it, because we've talked about it before. So we try to really practice on each other, and it's being in the moment.
Yes, but in your tips, that was something that really stood out, that you have to be able to listen to the other person. And you may not be what you want to hear, or it may not be, maybe you want to respond, and that's okay, but give that person a chance to tell you what they're thinking. And then you can ask some questions and go on with it.
Yeah. And that's our main thing. If you're a good listener, that's like a really nice thing to listen. People want you to hear them. They want to see you engage with them and not be thinking about your answer before they finish telling you what they want to tell you.
And the other thing that because I work in the field of gerontology, is I love to talk to older adults. Mm-hmm. And I was at the dermatologist the other day, and after they were doing something, I had to go sit and wait for them to come back and take care of something. And there was a woman there who was so friendly. She turned out to be 89, and she was just a pistol. She was great. And she was so interesting, I couldn't stop, just couldn't stop listening to her. And a lot of people, when they see someone who maybe seems to be in their 80s or 90s or even 100, they don't even think there's value in talking to them or listening to them.
Mm-hmm. It's sad, isn't it?
Well, it's a loss for the person who could learn a lot from them and could enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, when I went in there to wait while they were reviewing, something that they took off my skin, I was feeling, I was a little nervous. And then she just started talking, and for the next 15, 20 minutes, I didn't think about even where I was.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yes.
It's really great. I love to talk to older people, too, because they have such stories. I can ask them about what things were like when they were younger and how has the world changed. And I love to hear that, because I guess maybe in a past life, if anybody understands that, or even, I don't know if it even existed or if it did. Sometimes I think maybe in a past life, if I was in a past life, I think I was kind of like way back in the cowboy days.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because I would love nothing more, and this is totally against my other half, but I would love to be out in the middle of nowhere on a big ranch with a bunch of horses and just existing out there and growing my own food and just saying goodbye to the city. But he's a city person, so.
Right. That's very curious because you'd like to be one of those gold miners, right? Go out there and start
I don't know if I'd want to be a gold miner. I don't think I'd want to go there. No, I mean
panning for gold. And out in the old West when people went, go west, young man, right? Well,
no.
Yeah, but you, of course, have been in a very enviable position in what your responsibilities are because it's rare. If you were on that show, I forget what it was. Let's see. They would have people on, what's your occupation? Was it called something else?
What's my line?
Yes. They'd have a hard time figuring out what's your line.
Yeah. They would. Maybe I can get on that show.
I don't know if it's still on, but it certainly would be great. And we're just run out of time now. But, Roberta, I've had such a great time with you, and I can't wait for you to see your article. It'll be beautiful, and I have that great picture of you in it. So thanks so much, and I know we're going to have a great holiday.
Yes, and you too. It was great talking to you again, as always.
Okay, and you're going to send me one of those blankets?
I'm sending it to you today.
Okay. Thank you. You got my book too, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
You're welcome. We'll talk again. Thanks so much, Roberta. Bye.
Bye.